Well, it's been a huge couple of weeks for Reform UK. We are in the news all the time. In some opinion polls, we're now above Labour, in others, above the Conservatives. What's for certain is we now have three parties polling somewhere in the 20s, and we're the ones on the up. Now look, you'd have read about Elon Musk, and is he going to give us a load of money? And then yesterday, Nick Candy, the big property developer, known by some as Holly Valence's husband, a bit unfair, but it's true. Nick joined us yesterday as our treasurer, and we're going to raise money. Some people say, well, you know what? If the big money guys are coming in, I don't need to do anything. Let me tell you this. If we're going to build a people's army that beat the establishment, that give us in a few years' time the kind of government we need to turn round the decline in this country, don't just think Elon or Nick Candy are going to save us. Think, what can I do to join a movement that is really on the march, really on a roll? So I urge you, if you want change, if you want to see economic decline, societal decline turned around, and goodness me, I do, and I'm sure you do as well, come and join us. We can't do it without you. This needs to be a huge mass movement. Tories have failed us completely, betrayed us completely. Labour are utterly hopeless. You all know the country's going down the tubes. Please join us. Get involved. Let's make this happen.
Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party, found himself at the centre of a heated exchange with Nigel Farage during a live television programme. Farage, known for his controversial stances on immigration and Brexit, wasted no time in launching scathing criticisms against Starmer, accusing him of failing to address the country's most pressing issues. Yet, what truly captured everyone's attention was how Starmer responded to these accusations. Was it enough to defend his leadership? Here's everything that happened. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us a lot. Let's begin. During this highly anticipated political debate program, Labour leader Keir Starmer and former UKIP leader Nigel Farage went head-to-head to discuss key issues facing the United Kingdom. The event, broadcast during prime time, quickly became the focus of British media, especially due to the critical and direct tone Farage adopted when addressing Starmer. The first topic Farage tackled was Brexit, a central issue in UK politics since the 2016 referendum. Farage argued that Starmer had repeatedly shifted his position to suit political circumstances. Keir Starmer is a politician who says whatever suits the audience in front of him, Farage claimed, suggesting these alleged inconsistencies undermined Starmer's credibility as a leader. Furthermore, he labeled the Labour Party as divided and lacking a clear direction at a time when the UK requires stability and strong leadership. Farage's criticisms did not stop at Brexit. He also focused on immigration, a perennial source of debate in the UK. Farage accused the Labour Party of sending mixed messages regarding migration policies, alleging that Starmer oscillated between openness and restrictions, depending on the political climate. These criticisms reflected a recurring narrative in Farage's rhetoric, where immigration is often used as a key point to challenge political opponents. Farage's style was direct and almost provocative, using language designed to grab public attention while questioning Starmer's ability to lead the country in uncertain times. His tone, though critical, exuded confidence, which contrasted with Starmer's calculated calmness as he listened to Farage's arguments. In response, Starmer refrained from interrupting Farage, allowing him to finish his remarks. This approach seemed designed to project an air of composure in the face of accusations. However, some analysts interpreted this initial silence as a sign of weakness, while others viewed it as a strategic move to avoid unnecessary confrontations. After patiently listening to Farage's criticisms, Starmer began his response with a controlled and measured tone, ensuring he did not react impulsively. It's easy to criticize from the sidelines, but governing and leading a country requires more than empty words, he began, seemingly referencing Farage's position outside of Parliament and formal power structures. With this statement, Starmer not only dismissed Farage's critiques, but also sought to position himself as someone committed to real solutions. On Brexit, Starmer was clear in stating that his approach has been consistent and driven by the country's best interests. I have always advocated for what's best for the United Kingdom, even when that meant making tough decisions, he explained. This assertion aimed to counter Farage's narrative of inconsistency, with Starmer arguing that his position has evolved in line with the nation's needs and the challenges that have arisen since the 2016 referendum. Addressing Farage's accusations on immigration, Starmer asserted that Labour's policies reflect a balanced approach combining security with respect for human rights. The UK needs an immigration system that is fair, efficient, and aligned with our values, he stated. Starmer added that, unlike Farage's proposals, his vision focuses on building consensus rather than stoking division. One of the standout moments of his speech was when Starmer rejected the notion that his leadership lacked direction. Leadership means making evidence-based decisions, not clinging to rigid ideologies, he declared. This phrase encapsulated his strategy of presenting himself as a pragmatic and sensible leader, in contrast to Farage's more populist rhetoric. Starmer also took the opportunity to highlight some of Labour's recent achievements, such as their commitment to investing in public services and creating quality jobs. By doing so, he not only defended his record, but also shifted the focus away from Farage's criticisms to a more favorable terrain where he could emphasize his strengths. Despite Farage's provocations, Starmer remained focused on his key messages, avoiding personal attacks or a defensive tone. This approach was interpreted by some analysts as a deliberate attempt to project maturity and leadership, particularly in contrast to Farage's more combative style. To reinforce his points, Starmer also referred to some of the major challenges currently facing the UK, such as the cost of living crisis, the ongoing economic impact of Brexit, and the urgent need for a clear strategy to address climate change. These are the issues that matter to ordinary people, not political squabbles, he said, seemingly aiming to shift the audience's attention from Farage's criticisms to matters of greater relevance to voters. Reactions to his performance were mixed. While some praised Starmer's calmness and clarity, others felt his response lacked the necessary punch to fully counter Farage's attacks. However, it was evident that Starmer had succeeded in standing firm under pressure, which could bolster his image as a leader in the run-up to the general election. On immigration, the divide between the two figures remains equally pronounced. Farage has consistently used this issue as a political tool to rally his base, arguing that strict border controls are essential to protect British sovereignty. Starmer, on the other hand, has advocated for a more balanced approach, acknowledging the need for effective controls while also highlighting immigrants' economic and social contributions to the UK. Farage has criticized this stance as ambiguous and out of touch with voters' concerns. Another point of contention has been the economy. Farage has repeatedly accused Starmer of supporting policies that, in his view, would undermine the UK's global competitiveness. Starmer, in contrast, has argued that Farage's proposals lack a solid foundation and are more focused on grabbing headlines than offering viable solutions. This dynamic has been evident in several public clashes between the two, where both have sought to position themselves as the true defenders of British interests. Their historical context includes key moments where Starmer and Farage have clashed outside of televised debates. For instance, during the 2019 general election campaign, Farage heavily criticized Labour's ambiguous stance on Brexit, while Starmer accused Farage of promoting divisions that harmed the country. These exchanges reflect not only their political differences, but also a personal rivalry that has grown over time. The contrasting communication styles of the two leaders have further heightened this tension. Farage is known for his ability to connect with a populist base through simple yet impactful messaging, whereas Starmer prefers a more technical and detailed approach aimed at a moderate urban audience. This contrast has been evident in every one of their confrontations, including parliamentary debates and media interviews. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us a lot. Let's continue. The exchange between Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage on the television program not only captured the attention of the British public, but also sparked a broad debate in the media and on social networks. Responses were varied, reflecting the deep political divisions currently present in the United Kingdom and how these issues polarize both voters and analysts. From the moment the program aired, social media was flooded with comments. On Twitter, Some users applauded Starmer's composure and ability to respond in a detailed and articulate manner to Farage's accusations, seeing him as a leader who avoids direct confrontation and focuses on presenting solutions. One of the most shared comments stated, "Starmer didn't get dragged into Farage's aggression. That's the kind of leadership we need in difficult times." On the other hand, Nigel Farage's supporters celebrated his direct approach and skill in posing uncomfortable questions. Many users felt Farage successfully exposed what they perceive as inconsistencies in Starmer's positions, particularly on issues such as Brexit and immigration. A highlighted tweet read, "Farage, as always, says what everyone is thinking, but no one dares to say. Starmer is all talk, but little action." In traditional media, coverage was also divided. Newspapers like The Guardian and The Independent, known for their more progressive leanings, praised Starmer's response, describing it as an example of focused and measured leadership. In an opinion piece, The Guardian remarked, "Starmer demonstrated that it's possible to defend complex positions without resorting to polarization or populism." In contrast, publications such as the Daily Mail and The Sun, with more conservative editorial lines, highlighted Farage's intervention, describing it as a direct blow to Starmer's leadership. The Sun headlined one of its articles, "Farage exposes Starmer. Does the Labour leader have a real plan?" This approach reflects a trend in certain media sectors to consistently question the preparedness and vision of the Labour leader. Among the general public, surveys conducted after the program revealed mixed results. A YouGov poll found that 45% of respondents thought Starmer performed better, noting his calmness and clarity in answering. However, 38% believed Farage won the debate, arguing that his direct style resonated more with the concerns of ordinary citizens. In local communities, particularly in areas that have traditionally supported the Labour Party but voted in favor of Brexit, the reaction was equally mixed. In parts of Northern England, some voters expressed frustration with Starmer's lack of a stronger stance on handling current relations with the European Union. "We want a leader who tells it like it is, not someone who dances around the issue," commented a Middlesbrough resident in a local radio interview. Conversely, in more cosmopolitan cities like London, Starmer's intervention was seen as an example of stability and moderation. In an informal poll conducted by a local Camden radio station, the majority of respondents expressed support for Starmer, emphasizing that his pragmatic approach is what the UK needs during a time of economic and political uncertainty. The debate also had international implications, as several foreign media outlets covered the exchange. In the European press, Starmer's intervention was seen as an effort to rebuild the UK's credibility following Brexit. An article in Le Monde noted, "Keir Starmer seeks to position himself as a reliable leader in a divided country, which could be crucial for improving relations with Europe." In the United States, analyses focused more on the communication styles of both politicians. Some commentators compared Farage to populist figures like Donald Trump, while Starmer was viewed as a representative of the traditional style of British politics. It's a clash of two visions: populist confrontation versus consensus politics, noted an analyst in the Washington Post. The implications of this confrontation extend beyond the on-screen interaction and have the potential to influence both public perceptions of the two leaders and the political dynamics of the UK. Firstly, the debate reopened a series of questions about the role of Brexit in current political discourse. Although the UK has already left the European Union, discussions about its impact, implementation, and future remain highly divisive. Farage's criticisms of Starmer and the Labour leader's responses highlight that Brexit continues to be a central issue for many voters. This raises the possibility of the topic re-emerging as a key focus in the next general election, particularly in regions dissatisfied with the outcomes of the process. Politically, the exchange also underscores the struggle between different leadership styles. Farage represents a populist and confrontational approach, directly appealing to voters' emotions and immediate concerns. In contrast, Starmer projects a more moderate and technical style, aiming to attract those who value stability and long-term reflection. This contrast could become a defining feature of British politics in the coming years, with significant implications for how parties craft their communication strategies. From an electoral perspective, the confrontation could also influence the behavior of undecided voters. Farage's most loyal supporters are likely to remain steadfast in their backing, while traditional Labour voters may feel reaffirmed in their loyalty to Starmer. However, voters who are not yet convinced by either leader could be key in determining the impact of this debate. If Starmer manages to position himself as a trustworthy and pragmatic leader, he could gain ground among those seeking an alternative to the current Conservative government. Conversely, if Farage capitalizes on concerns about Brexit and immigration, he could attract discontented voters who have not traditionally supported UKIP or similar parties. In terms of internal party dynamics, the confrontation could also have repercussions for Labour and its rivals. Starmer, who has worked to unify his party after years of divisions, could use this debate as an opportunity to consolidate his leadership and reinforce his vision ahead of the next election. However, he also faces the challenge of maintaining the support of different factions within the party, some of which may prefer a more assertive approach to issues such as the relationship with the EU or immigration policies. For the Conservative Party, the exchange between Starmer and Farage presents a strategic dilemma. On the one hand, Conservatives share some of Farage's concerns, particularly regarding immigration and national sovereignty. On the other hand, the resurgence of figures like Farage could fragment support for the political right, weakening their electoral base in the next election. This scenario forces Conservatives to decide whether to align more closely with Farage's populist approach or maintain a strategic distance to protect their image as a traditional party. Regarding media dynamics, the confrontation also highlights the growing role of social networks and digital platforms in shaping public perception. Clips of the debate that went viral on platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube not only expanded the event's reach, but also provided voters with a way to engage directly with the issues discussed. This underscores the importance of politicians adapting their communication strategies to capture the attention of younger and more diverse audiences. Internationally, the debate could also impact the UK's image abroad. Starmer's stance, which seeks to rebuild relations with the European Union and project a more collaborative approach, could be well received by European leaders, who have expressed a desire for a more stable and predictable relationship with London. Conversely, Farage's rhetoric, which emphasizes independence and national sovereignty, could reinforce the perception that the UK remains an unpredictable political actor. If you liked this video and want to see more content on important issues, subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Your support helps us continue creating content. Thanks for being with us, and don't forget to share this video. See you next time.